Hey guys, I'm Suraj Balakrishnan and welcome to this very special World Cup show where we talk about what has happened so far in this 2018 World Cup and look ahead to the knockout stages. I'm standing ahead of this beautiful St. Basil Cathedral and also the Kremlin right behind me in Moscow, where we have witnessed wonderful games at the Luzhniki and the Spartak Stadium, and of course in St. Petersburg, Kazan, Samara, Nizhny Novgorod, and all the other beautiful places in this country, which has seen an incredible World Cup so far. And now joining me to talk about what has happened so far is a veteran Mexican journalist, Marco Vazquez here, who's seen it all, who's been with me from the start of the competition.
Oh, well, yeah.
And of course, who's seen both Mexico's games, the three of Mexico's games actually, and now we'll witness Brazil taking on Mexico very soon. Marco, tell us about what you feel so far in this World Cup so far. What do you think about the World Cup?
Well, I think this World Cup has surprised every single guy that has stand here in Russia, because not only because of the beautiful country, but only because of the surprises we've had, you know? We see Iran playing really, really good. We see also maybe Korea beating Germany. It was amazing, man. And, well, we can go every single way, like going with the surprises. But for me, like, the best thing is here the people, the city, and how good organized is this thing, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, the propaganda that we heard before the World Cup, especially by the Western media or sections of the Western media, was that, you know, the foreigners, the tourists will have a lot of trouble coming here. There's going to be a lot of violence. There's going to be a lot of, you know, trouble out here. Russia is not a country known for football organization. But what we really seen out here is just people, you know, with welcoming, smiling faces. They've been so accommodative, you know, who don't speak a word of Russian. They're actually coming out of their way and actually, you know, going to help us find the metro station, find the ticket centers, find everything. So it's been remarkable. Also, you know, get to congratulate Vladimir Putin and his country for hosting the World Cup in such a beautiful fashion.
Yeah, man. And you know, for us being from outside this country, like you said, man, we hear a lot of stuff. For me, in Mexico, for example, we are really, really close to the States. For them, talking a lot of bad things about Russia, and then coming here and seeing that it's not even near, and the people, it's really, really nice. It's just, that's a surprise, man, and we are so pleased to be here.
Absolutely, Marco. And now coming to the football, you know, we've seen a lot of pundits, a lot of people, keen football viewers say that this is probably the best World Cup since 1998 in France.
Maybe, yeah.
And, you know, but we can probably understand that because there have been sensational games, very tight games. And what is remarkable has been, Marco, that with the exception of, say, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and a couple of other games, every single game has been very tight.
Thrilling, man.
Whether it involves Brazil, Argentina, Germany, France, any of the top teams.
Yeah, and you know, Argentina was almost out of the World Cup. We have Germany out of the World Cup, man. And Portugal, you know, even they are just depending on Cristiano, and sometimes he's not able to do everything, you know. You know, we also have maybe Belgium, that they're playing really, really good football. England is pretty good football. So I think, well, I don't know what's going to happen in the next stage, man. Anything could happen, you know. That's football. That's the beauty of football.
Absolutely. Now, Marco, let's go through the groups one by one.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Group A has, you know, had Russia, the host, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay, who are probably the favorites.
Yeah.
You have Uruguay finishing first, all 3 victories. Russia, 2 victories, 1 defeat, finishing second. Is that the way you expected it to go? And what are the surprises for you in Group A?
Well, kind of, it was the way I was expecting it, but for me, seeing Russia playing with so much heart and so much passion, that was really good. Uruguay, well, you kind of expect that, you know, Suarez, Cavani, Godin, every single guy, they played really, really top football in Europe, top clubs, so they had to go through in that way, you know, in first place. But man, I think they even got a little bit nervous the first games, you know, but that's the big teams. That's the way the big teams work.
Absolutely. And for me, the interesting thing was so much of hype was there on Mo Salah and the Egyptian squad. You know, a lot of people expected him to carry on in Liverpool form, and also the Egyptian teammates to help him out in Group A and maybe qualify out of Russia. But that didn't quite happen. So, were you surprised by that?
No, I wasn't surprised because, man, one man cannot do an 11-man job, okay? So, and he's also kind of injured, you know? He wasn't even playing, and now he's a little bit low in steam. And well, even though he was not even playing that much, he was with a lot of passion, and then he wanted to go through, man. But well, it couldn't happen.
And if we can just ask the cameraman Nick to just pan the camera here. We've got beautiful lights out here in Moscow.
They just turned
I mean, this is
on.
the beauty of the city, As we were talking, right now the lights have come out. We've seen, all these beautiful cathedrals in the center of Moscow where we are right now. The lights have come out, and it's just such a pretty city in the night, So many people out here just having a walk, having a good time. And you see so many local Russians, a lot of tourists out here. And this is really the heart of Moscow, isn't it, Marco?
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, every single
sight to see right now.
Yeah, every single time you walk around Moscow or every single city in Russia, you see beautiful cathedrals, you see beautiful people, and a lot of lights. It makes the country being really, really alive.
Absolutely. Now coming to Group B, this was known as a group of death.
Yeah.
We remember, two of us sitting at the FIFA Fan Fest there and watching
I can't
Portugal
remember.
versus Spain.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the best matches so far, probably the best match so far. And we had, the thrilling 3-3 tie initially.
Yeah.
And then you had Iran playing really well in the World Cup.
Really well, man.
Had a massive upset on day one, and then almost did the unbelievable and defeated Portugal in the final group game.
Yeah.
So talk us through what you thought about Group B.
Yeah, well, about Group B, what I can tell you is that, the two teams that we thought that were going through, they got through, but with a lot of problems, Spain is not playing that good as we thought. They have a lot of youngsters, and they are playing good, but maybe they are lacking a little bit of experience.
Right.
And I don't know if the thing with Lopetegui kind of shook them a little bit, but they still got through, And Portugal, well, we know it's Cristiano, we know it's Quaresma. They have a tough team, but they don't really have like a really football style, So
But this is really the style that they use in the Euros,
Yeah.
They pretty much, I don't know how they got
won,
there.
man.
They won the Euros, they somehow just dragged themselves through. And, they're kind of doing the same thing, but do you feel Portugal right now as a team, forget Ronaldo up front, do you think they have enough to win this competition?
I don't know.
You have a 35-year-old Pepe at the centre back, you have a lot of players, Joao Mario, who are in their, in the end of their careers right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they will get through, but they are playing against Uruguay. Uruguay is very tough, man, and I don't know if they will get through. They have to be like really, really focused.
Right.
I don't know if the strategy of waiting maybe like always and just counter attacks. I don't know if that's the really good way to win. But well, it has worked out in the past, so maybe it will work out now, man.
Probably it's going to work right now, as Marco says. We'll come to the knockout stages a bit later.
Yeah.
Right now, let's go to Group C now. You had France, Peru, Australia, and Denmark. Now, that was an interesting set of teams. We had a lot of these wonderful Peruvians who had traveled all the way, just like one of your old friends out here.
Yeah, man.
And, you had eventually Denmark playing quite well in the first game against Peru. Defeating Peru.
I was surprised, man. Eriksen, he plays really, really good football, man. And he was like the breaking point for Denmark, Peru, they played with a lot of heart, but I don't know if the manager did the right thing. He took like two of the best players out of the bench. So I don't know, man. I think he got caught like a little
shackled,
shackled. And now this is the consequence,
And the team that a lot of people have as one of the big favorites, France.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to talk about France because they haven't looked particularly convincing up front. But as a defensive unit, they've been very tight. They were very compact midfield, probably the best midfield in the competition. And many of them haven't really produced. Like Pogba has been very underwhelming so far in the World Cup. But you get a feeling that, the teams that win these World Cups are teams with a good defense.
Yeah.
You've seen Brazil have a good defense. Now you're seeing France having very compact defense.
Yeah.
So how do you see them go ahead?
Well, Varane, he's really, really young, but he's really, really strong. We can see it with Real Madrid every single match. He plays with heart. He plays really, really brave. And we have, for me, like the best striker in the world, and it's Griezmann. He scores in unexpected ways. So I think that if Pogba is like really, really focused and Griezmann is like on the spot, man, I think they will go through.
But what do you think about, the manager? You mentioned about the head. A lot of people think he doesn't have a head in Deschamps. So he's under a lot of criticism, especially after how France, went out against Portugal in the final the last European Championship. Even now, they're saying, why wasn't Martial picked? why do you have to, place so much trust on Giroud, for example?
Yeah, or for example,
they want Lacazette in the team, again, who wasn't chosen. So there are a lot of these problems with France. You think Deschamps is the right man to, guide France based on what you've seen so far?
Yeah, well, he's won a World Cup. He played for France, so I think he's the right guy, man, because he has his heart in the team, and he can tell these guys how to feel about playing a World Cup, So I think he's the right guy, but I don't know if the strategy he's using is quite good, man. But he has to go like really to throw everything away, because it's now in knockout stage, all or nothing.
So for all the critics of France right there in Paris, we have Marco, one guy who's supporting Deschamps out there. So Didier, you have some hope there.
Yeah.
All right. Now to the next group, Group D. You had, of course, this is the group which I think a lot of people talk about: Argentina, Iceland, Croatia, and Nigeria. And you had an 86-minute goal from Marco Rojo, who I have not seen for the longest time in Manchester United. Scored the winner.
Which kind of winner, man?
And a super winner.
Super winner.
To help Argentina qualify into the knockout stages. So talk us through this crazy goal.
Man, for me it was crazy because I was actually traveling and I was on a train and I was looking at the game and I was like, no way they're getting out of the World Cup, And you see Maradona screaming and he was almost dying there.
I thought he was in cocaine right there.
Yeah, well, something
no
like
offense.
No offense. Well, I don't know, man. I'm not sure. But these guys, they need more than just passion. You see Argentinian guys on the streets and they have a lot of passion and you don't see that passion in their team. And for me, that manager, he's not good, man.
Right.
He's not feeling it. Messi he's not even feeling him. So I don't know, man. And they have a really good team. I can understand why Dybala is not playing, why Di Maria is not playing constantly. They have a great team, and I think one of the best teams.
So that's the thing. I mean, everyone who I talk to in Argentina here, all the fans, they keep saying, Pavon must get a game. He's fast, he's young, he's direct, he plays with passion. Why can't Pavon start for Argentina? And the second thing is, you've got Banega, who finally started the last game.
Yeah.
Why wasn't he picked from the beginning? And why don't you have, say, I don't know, maybe Tevez, an X factor coming in? Because Aguero has looked off the pace so far.
Yeah, man. For example, Aguero is just about moments, If he's in the right spot and with the right space, maybe he'll score. But for me, like the worst striker there is Higuain. He fails and fails, and I don't know why he's still in.
I mean, he had a poor last World Cup final. He missed like 2 really good chances.
Yeah, 2
in
really
the
good
final,
chances, and not even with Argentina, also with Real Madrid, also with Juventus. So
absolutely,
I don't know, man.
Absolutely. Now, what's interesting, the other teams, of course, you had Iceland and Nigeria, which didn't qualify, and you had Croatia, which produced some stunning football and went through.
Football, I can understand how they did it.
No. What do you think about Croatia, though? I mean, you've got a lot of attention on Luka Modric, Rakitic, the two big stars who play for Real Madrid and Barcelona. But overall, as a team, they look very compact. But do you feel they are a team which is peaked too early? Because if Modric gets one injury, will the team kind of collapse?
Of course they will collapse, because he's a brain there. Also Rakitic, but they know to play together. Also Kovacic, this youngster, he plays really good football. So it's just you can't just play with midfield. You need to have good defenders. You need to have good goalie, man.
Absolutely.
The goal is not good. Iceland, they play with a lot of heart, but you can compare Argentina and Croatia with them,
And now moving on to Group B quickly, we've got Brazil, Costa Rica, Serbia, Switzerland. Now it's very interesting because I had there the 2 of the Brazil's games, and what we saw was supporters who obviously were behind the team, but who weren't really feeling that passionate about how the team played. But despite all that, Brazil, if you look at, they have a very good defensive record so far. Their midfield of Paulinho, Coutinho, and Casemiro is playing very compactly. They look solid. It's just up front that they have problems, which can be rectified. So you think, all the Brazilians out here who seem pretty pessimistic about the things, you think they're being too pessimistic about how the things are going? Because they've got 1 draw, 2 victories. They're playing reasonably well.
Reasonably well, but I think that because of that big team they got, I think they have to play even better. They have to play, because this game, Serbia played really good. It's because the game is about goals, okay? So if you score well, then you're through, man.
Right.
So, but I think Marcelo and everything. Marcelo, you see it in Real Madrid. He's like always going in counter attack,
Absolutely.
and not here in Brazil. You know, he's like more peacefully. He's just playing his football, and that's it. And for me, also Neymar, I think sometimes he plays about too much.
That's the thing. My next question was about Neymar. I mean, what is wrong with him right now? Because there's so much criticism about him diving all the time, him playing for himself, not for the team. Is it the unbelievable amount of pressure that he's feeling right now, or is it the fact that so many of these billboards out here in Moscow, you've seen Neymar in being the brand ambassador of these companies, and he feels right now that he has to be the superstar. He has to be the rock star who's going to do something to fulfill that huge price tag.
Well, but he had the same pressure in the Brazil World Cup, and he was playing really good, man.
Right.
He was really nice until he got that injury,
Right.
And then, well, we know what happened against Germany. But for me, this is a World Cup for him,
Right.
because he's even mature, and you have more players playing now in Europe, man.
Absolutely.
So I don't know what's happening with them. They got through, they didn't lose, but I don't think they're playing like quite a good football. So that's why I think Brazilians, they are not that comfortable.
And quickly, Switzerland as number 2 fair deserved to go through, or you think Serbia deserved it more?
Well, I think I think Switzerland deserve more, man, because they play with a lot of heart. Shaka, Shaqiri. They knew what it was in the game. They knew they were playing with all of their hearts. It's not even I don't know how many years it happened in Switzerland and even got through the stage. So for them, it's all or nothing.
And one thing for viewers, not very often can you separate geopolitics from football. But one of the most iconic moments for me in this World Cup was when Shaqiri and Xhaka scored those 2 goals against Serbia, the country which had denied them citizenship. And then they had to find refuge in Switzerland, and they had their celebration to put the strong political message to their former country or their so-called ethnic country about how they feel. That was pretty iconic.
That was pretty iconic, and I think they knew that. Since they started playing, they knew they had to score against this team because it's not fair for them to deny that citizenship.
So that was probably one photo which we'll see for a long time.
For a long time,
And now the next group, a group which you got a lot of heart involved, more than other groups. Probably the craziest group, craziest group right now so far at the World Cups. Germany, Mexico, Sweden, and South Korea. Tell us through, all the craziness that ensured. Until the last minute, or the last 2 minutes of that Germany-South Korea game, we had no idea who's going to go through. Talk us through your emotions and what you were feeling leading up to the final three group games.
We got a lot of confidence. Mexicans, we are just like that. We are very, very good. We feel like we're gonna be the champions of the world. And if we're really bad, we just want to go home. And for us, winning 2 games like in these conditions, winning against Germany, winning against South Korea, we were lacked. We had a lot of confidence, man, and that was no good. We have to be focused, and we have to be like playing game by game. And they didn't, man. They got really lucky that Germany didn't score, man. And now every single South Korean guy we see is like, thank you, man. You're the best. And for us, well,
not just every single South Korean guy. The South Korean ambassador here in Moscow was actually picked up, and he was given some tequila to celebrate their victory over Germany. So that's how much these guys, celebrate their victory.
That's how much we celebrate, but it's no good, man. That's just, that's no good because we lost really bad, and we were playing really good, and I don't know what happened, man. I was in the stadium, and once we were like 3-0, and we knew that Germany was playing really good against Korea, but Korea was like always going in. And when we knew that Korea scored, the whole stadium, it was like Mexico scored. Beer was flowing all the way, and I was like, man, you have to celebrate. We are into the knockout stage because of someone else.
Absolutely. Well, but at least on the brighter side, you qualified. Now, remember what you told me after the Germany game, very interesting. You said that Mexico have never really played in such a counter-attacking way. After the Germany game. So tell us about the strategy of using basically Chicharito and of course Chucky Lozano as wide forwards and a forward.
Well, I think it's a good strategy, but you cannot play with that strategy against toughest teams. You have to have different strategies because they read you like a book.
Right.
If you play the same way every single game, they will read you like a book, man. So it's no good. So I think for this next match, Osorio has to change everything he's been doing in the group stage. Okay, so let's hope we can go through.
Right. And a word on Chucky Lozano. I mean, we haven't heard too much about him, back home, because a lot of people look at the Spanish league, the English league, and of course the Italian league.
Yeah.
But he plays for PSV Eindhoven.
Yeah.
He's been there for one season.
Yeah.
You think a move to maybe England or Spain can happen right after the World Cup?
Yeah, I think he will move, man, because he's the best player we've got. Because he's not only playing forward. You see him getting balls right on the bottom line with Ochoa, his keeper, man. So that's amazing. Not even Chicharito. You can see Chicharito walking to past the defender, and you say, man, you have to go more. You have to give
press more. Yeah.
And Lozano, he's tackling, and he's recovering balls, and he's just not scoring. He's just doing everything.
Fantastic. And now tell us, what really happened in Germany? My reading of the situation was, it's very similar to what happened with Spain last 4 years back.
Yeah.
You had a great team and you have a new generation coming. You had Aspas and Isco and all these guys coming in. And in the middle, you had a transition between the 2010 World Cup and of course 2014 World Cup.
Yeah.
Similar thing for Germany as well. 2014 champions, fantastic team. 2018 new players coming in. You got a Draxler, you have Brandt, you have Leroy Sané, who wasn't picked in the World Cup squad. So you think it's just a minor blip, or you think it's something more for Germany?
Well, I think they also got really confident. You can talk to German guys, and they were really sure they were going first in the group. Okay, so since that moment, you're already losing.
Right.
And I think these guys. I don't know if Lowe has lost his passion, maybe, because you don't see him like in other games, in other World Cups, and I think that's what happened. They have a really good team. It's partially the same team that won the last cup, but well, you say it's the curse of the champion.
Right, exactly. Curse of champions. 4th time in the last 5 or 6 seasons. Now, Group G, Belgium, Panama, Tunisia, England. This was fairly straightforward. I mean, I don't think anyone expected, Belgium and England not to go through. Well, they did. But did you expect? Were you surprised by how open England were? They actually played football on the ground.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm seeing them play confidently on the ground. Yeah. Maybe in the last, maybe since 1990.
Well, I think you've got our best team now. You have Lingard, you have Sterling, and he's really fast. He's a really good breaking point. And for me, the most important player, Kane. There's been a lot of World Cups that you have a really good team. In back of World Cups, you have Owen, you have Lampard, you have Gerrard, you have a lot of them, but never a good striker,
Yeah.
But now Kane, he's on fire, man, and I think he's going to a better team now.
Right, better team now. And Belgium, of course, the perennial underachievers. Every time there's a competition, people say Belgium have De Bruyne, have Lukaku. You have Nainggolan, who's not in the squad. Awesome. You have Kompany, you have Vertonghen, you have Thibaut Courtois. Yeah. You've got a lot of star players there. But do you think this is finally the time when they can actually perform and fulfill that potential?
Well, I think so, because it's the same team from last World Cup. It's the same team from Euro, and I think they are really compact now. I think they have really good chances. Right. But I don't know, man. Football is just weird.
Yeah.
And maybe they can have the best team in the world, but there's just one goal from the other guys, and that's it.
Anything can happen, absolutely. And finally, Group H, you have Poland, Senegal, Colombia, Japan. Colombia were expected to, do really well after what they did in the last World Cup. The last World Cup, Diego Forlan wasn't part of. Radamel Falcao. I miss Forlan so much. Radamel Falcao was not part of the team.
Yeah, was not part.
Now you've got Falcao, who's the captain, who's fit, who's really hungry, who seems very passionate. So were you surprised by how hard it took, Colombia to qualify, and of course now Japan as well qualifying in the World Cup qualifying? Round of 16.
You see the game against Senegal, Colombia-Senegal, and you were like, man, you can't believe that Senegal win against Colombia. Right. I think they were like preparing everything. I think they were like starting to believe in themselves. You can see James Rodriguez saying after that match they lose, this is just the beginning, man, and defeat is for us to go through let's win this next match and the next match, and they're playing really good. Japan, it was a good surprise, man. Right. They were playing really good, really fast.
Absolutely.
And I think Colombia, well, we expected, but they kind of also came like really slowly.
Right. And what was very sad was, very sad in a diverse point of view, that not a single African team has qualified to the round of 16.
Yeah.
And Japan is the only real Asian team which is qualified as well.
Yeah.
And Senegal, in fact, I met a couple of Uruguay fans, just a few days back before the game. And they were actually predicting Senegal to reach the semi-finals of the World Cup.
Oh.
That's how good they were against before in the match against Poland.
Okay,
and even leading up to how
Yeah.
Sadio Mane was playing, how the entire team was so compact
Yeah.
and very fit and very very fast. So how difficult or how surprised were you that not a single African team has qualified to the knockout stages of the World Cup?
Well, in football, you just cannot have speed and passion. You need to have technique,
Right.
Technique and strategy, and you can play with all your heart. You can play. We have Iceland playing with all his heart. A lot of teams. You can play with all of your heart, being really, really fast. But if you don't have the football in your heart and in your feet and in here, man, you're not going through anywhere.
Right.
So that's why I think that any African team is going through.
Absolutely. I mean, it's bad luck because in the last few editions we've seen African team do very well. I remember in the Japan-Korea World Cup 2002, we had both Japan and Korea do very well in the knockout stages as well. So again, Asian teams, African teams not really performing. It's again Europe versus South America to decide who's going to win the World Cup.